This lecture is on the respiratory system's general layout and on the bronchial tree. So at its bottom, the trachea divides into two primary bronchi. But before I go any further with that description, I want to give you a general layout for the respiratory system. So this is strictly diagrammatic, but here I have my symbol basically for the larynx. This cartilaginous structure through which air can pass on its way to the trachea, which has the rings of cartilage, of course. So here we have the trachea, and then we have the two primary bronchi, which also have rings of cartilage like that. And they then dive into the lungs, which I'm drawing now. So here, this and this then are your two primary bronchi, the right and left primary bronchi. And then we have the lungs, which I'm in the process of drawing here. But at the bottom of the chest cavity, we have this muscle known as the diaphragm. That's the muscle that when it contracts, it goes from being a dome to being flat. And that is what then creates the suction that allows you to draw air in. Now we have lungs, and the lungs, as you see, I'm just drawing them as boxes. But the point is the lungs have lobes to them. So here we have the lungs resting on the diaphragm. There's actually kind of a vacuum seal between the diaphragm and the lungs, but here we are. So this now is the right lung, and this then is the left lung. So there we go. That is, in a very diagrammatic way, how your respiratory system is laid out from what you can see on the outside. So there, as I said, we have a general, highly diagrammatic layout of how it's all put together. Now I am going to go into what is known as the bronchial tree, much of which is inside the lungs. So you actually have to cut them open in order to see this stuff. But we'll start on the outside with the trachea. So the trachea, as you see in that picture there, this divides into two primary bronchi. So these enter the lungs. And the two primary bronchi then, these divide and subdivide. So they keep dividing and dividing and dividing, forming more bronchi. So we keep having lots and lots of bronchi forming in our lungs. So the bronchi. Then keep dividing, and eventually these divisions become small enough to be called bronchioles. And there are structural differences along the way, but I will get to that in another lecture. Meanwhile, the bronchioles keep dividing. And the smallest bronchioles then deliver air to your alveoli. So alveoli these are your respiratory surfaces. So we have finally gotten the air to where gas exchange takes place. So this is referred to as a bronchial tree because it kind of looks like an upside down tree. You know, you have the trachea, you have the two primary bronchi, then you're going to have lots of divisions off of the primary bronchi, like so, and then you're going to have further divisions off of those. And on and on and on it goes. And I'm just going to draw this one out. This is not to scale, but I'm just showing you that you are going to have lots and lots and lots of further divisions out like this. So you wind up then with the trachea. You wind up with a whole bunch of different bronchi. And then eventually these little divisions are going to get small enough, though they're going to keep dividing and dividing and dividing, but eventually they are going to become small enough that they are known instead as bronchioles. And eventually you're going to have a really tiny bronchiole that then winds up delivering the air to the respiratory surfaces, which are alveoli. Alveoli are basically little fleshy bubbles. And so these alveoli here, they look like little balloons, basically. And those little balloons then inflate a little bit. That is them basically taking in that inhaled air. The gas exchange takes place. You exhale, you breathe out, those little bubbles deflate a little bit, but not entirely. they inflate the next time, and those little bitty balloons then are the alveoli, which is where the gas exchange is actually taking place. And that is it for this lecture. Thanks very much.